And then we get to the post-fight press conference, Tom, and Dana White is there, and his demeanor initially seemed to be one of someone who was upset, annoyed. And then he said the line that has been dissected, and you talked about it a little bit on your YouTube channel, where his take was Tom didn't want to continue. It didn't feel like he was defending you or the decision not to fight or the injury or even being critical of Cyril. It seemed like he was upset that the fight didn't continue because it was back and forth, and it seemed like he was actually rather complimentary of Cyril. When you heard his comments, how did you react?
Yeah, slightly disappointing because
in a recent, and let's be honest, pretty fiery interview, Tom Aspinall is absolutely holding nothing back, lashing out at both Dana White and the legendary Jon Jones for the comments they've dared to make about him. And on top of that, he finally pulls back the curtain and reveals when the fans can expect him to make his long-awaited, highly anticipated return to the cage. But here's the major problem, and it's a serious one. Tom Aspinall is still completely unable to train. His doctors are currently exploring the very real and frankly terrifying possibility of operating on both of his eyes. He explains that he has an eyeball injection coming up very soon, a procedure he is absolutely dreading, and you can't really blame him for that. Even though he's desperate to get back in there and fight as quickly as possible, he's staying acutely aware that eye injuries are no joke and require an entirely different level of caution. With no clear timeline coming from the medical professionals, he's left trapped in this frustrating limbo, completely uncertain about when he'll finally get the green light to resume the full-throttle training a champion needs.
he hadn't spoke to me. He hadn't given any up. He was already giving updates on my health, and he had no idea what had gone on. Yeah, so disappointing, mate. Disappointing.
The notion of it being framed as Tom didn't want to continue, as opposed to he got poked in the eye, he couldn't see, he can't get that stuff. That phrase, the way that picture was painted.
So, let's really break down what his recovery actually looks like day to day right now, because it's a stark contrast to his usual routine. Tom Aspinall explains that he's only physically able to do incredibly light workouts. We're talking about him being restricted to some simple bodybuilding style weights and very small, limited amounts of cardio. Just try to imagine being the heavyweight champion of the world, a truly elite athlete, and being reduced to that kind of basic activity. The double vision is still severely affecting him, and he says that any quick change of direction immediately makes him dizzy, which is a fighter's worst nightmare. Because of this, he has to keep everything limited to just some gentle jogging, some time on a stationary bike, and other low-intensity exercises that don't risk sudden movements. There is absolutely nothing intensive going on here. It's really just enough to keep his body moving while he's forced to wait for his eyes to hopefully heal.
It's after the fight. Jon Jones changed his profile picture, the duck with the eye patch. A few days later, Dirty Boxing, he's on a horse coming to the weigh-ins, a horse with an eye patch. This scene here, he's made some comments in the aftermath about, like, you know, your heart, your determination, you've looked for way outs. What do you make of the way Jon Jones has talked about you and acted towards you in the aftermath?
Yeah, good for him, man. Good for him. I thought this guy was the GOAT. Focus on yourself, bro. You're retired. Just do your own thing. If you're so much better than everybody else, just go and enjoy yourself. Don't worry about what I'm doing.
And you can tell Aspinall isn't holding back his frustration one bit. He fires back directly at Jon Jones, not just for mocking his injury, which is bad enough, but for also having the absolute nerve to question his heart and his courage. He makes it crystal clear that he expected so much more from someone who is so often considered a GOAT of the sport, and then bluntly tells Jones to just focus on his own life. From Aspinall's point of view, Jon Jones is essentially already retired anyway. He believes Jones should just be enjoying himself, living the good life, instead of taking cheek shots from the sidelines and worrying about what other active fighters are doing in the cage. It's a pretty direct and incredibly powerful clapback aimed at one of the biggest names in MMA history.
What I think should happen is, if there's a foul, like in my case, double eye gouge was what happened to me. So if you want the fight to carry on fairly, I get a free foul on him. So I'll double eye gouge him back, and then we restart the fight. I think that's fair.
I feel like that might be a tough one to pull off.
Well, so's continuing when you've got no eyesight.
Meanwhile, the English fighter is so utterly fed up with fouls in the sport that he's proposing a pretty drastic, almost revolutionary rule change designed to discourage them in MMA once and for all. Get this for an idea. He suggests that if one fighter commits a foul, the other fighter should be granted an equal foul in return. A literal eye for an eye approach. It's a wild and almost unthinkable concept, but you can feel the raw frustration behind it. He even jokes that if this rule were actually in place, he would have been allowed to double-eye gouge Seralgain right back, just to make things fair. Now, it's obviously a dark joke, but it perfectly and powerfully captures the deep-seated anger that many fighters feel about these fight-altering and often career-threatening illegal moves.
Question for me on the eye poke thing. You mentioned Jason Herzog in your last fight. Obviously, there's been an eye poke problem in the UFC for a while. It's not the UFC's fault, but more the commission's. What is the solution? You mentioned.
I think everybody needs to man up. Dana White, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the referees, and just make a fucking decision, man. If you guys can do it, like, dude, that's bullshit. If we're being warned in the back, and all right, then I'm gonna start taking my warning. I'm gonna start sticking in the eye too. I get a warning. Like that's not fair. Everybody needs to fucking man up and step up and create this and make this thing official. Dude, somebody could lose an eye. Bisping. I mean, how many other dude? These dudes are deformed for life, dude. That sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it sucks. The one that happened to me, but two, man, it's Betchko head. There's a lot of people that have eye issues that you guys don't even know about. You know what I'm saying? So it starts here, and I think it needs to be immediate. And if not, man, I think people need to be held accountable for that stuff. If I was to lose a fuck, I did too. You imagine that? Like, oh yeah, oh good job, you're a warrior. Oh, okay. Well, who's gonna give me my eye back? You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody needs to step up. Everybody.
And believe me, it's not just Aspinall who's sounding the alarm on this issue. The legendary Henry Cejudo also goes off, putting both Dana White and the various athletic commissions on blast. He's basically demanding that the commissions and the referees finally do something tangible about this ongoing, persistent eye poke problem, arguing forcefully that the complete lack of strict enforcement is actively ruining the sport we all love. He issues a very serious warning. If the officials don't start enforcing real, meaningful consequences for these fouls, then the athletes are going to feel like they have a green light to exploit the rules however they see fit, knowing they can get away with it with little more than a slap on the wrist.
It's been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest with you, because I know there's a lot of haters out there. Of course, this is professional sport at the highest level. We have haters. But when the eye poke happened, obviously, eye pokes happen all the time in MMA, unfortunately. And got the eye poke. Obviously, everything went on from there. Went to the hospital, returned home. Didn't even, check my phone or nothing for a while. And then I realized, people genuinely think that I faked this. People actually think that I was faking it. And then I was like, did people actually see the replay of what happened? Because that was a full-on eye poke.
Furthermore, you can really feel the immense frustration radiating from Tom Aspinall as he defends himself against the wave of critics that have come out of the woodwork since his eye injury. He explains that the whole experience has been completely overwhelming, and while he acknowledges that dealing with haters is just part of being a professional athlete at the highest level, he's genuinely baffled and frustrated that some people actually think he faked the injury to get out of the fight. Tom stresses that the eye poke was so obviously real and incredibly severe, noting with clear annoyance that it seems like many of his critics didn't even bother to watch the replay before jumping online to spread their baseless, ridiculous conclusions.
So then I was like, what is going on? Why are people thinking I'm faking this, after everything that I've been through to get there? So then I left it quite a while. I thought, right, I'm going to get all the doctor's notes included. I've been through it for loads and loads of tests for weeks. I've literally been in the hospital 2 or 3 times a week getting different tests. Then I come up with a doctor's report, and then people are like, oh, he's fucking crying about it. He's doing a media tour on it. He's milking it. And I'm like, bro, if you don't believe the eye poke and you don't believe the doctor's reports, what are we doing? What's going on here? I didn't make this up. Go watch the replay. Check out the doctor's reports. Look, man, I'm in a point where, like, you just cannot please these guys. These guys are fucking losers, man. These guys are just crazy haters who have got nothing good going on in their life, obviously. I have still got a lot of fans. I wanted to keep my fans updated with what's gone on. And I appreciate everybody that's stuck by me.
Tom Aspinall is just completely and utterly stunned by how many people are choosing to doubt the severity of his injury. I mean, think about it from his perspective for a second. After undergoing extensive medical testing and visiting the hospital multiple times every single week since the incident, he's now preparing to release a full doctor's report just to prove what happened. And yet, despite all this evidence, some people are still out there accusing him of exaggerating the injury or just seeking attention. Tom expresses his deep frustration with those who choose to ignore the clear medical evidence and the damning replay footage, calling them nothing more than haters with nothing better to do. And through it all, he makes a special point to emphasize his immense appreciation for the real fans who have stayed supportive and continued to follow his updates throughout this entire difficult ordeal.
What about this intentional, unintentional stuff? Because
you know, I can see sometimes how it can be unintentional, but if you stood at range, like when it happened to me, he was stood at kicking range. If we're talking, like, I personally think that Rogan is one of the most technical strikers to ever fight in the heavyweight division. I personally genuinely believe that. If he's one of the most technical fighters in the heavyweight division, why has he not learned to punch with his hand closed at kicking range? Like, it doesn't make any sense how that can be unintentional. I wouldn't mind giving him a double eye poke and then we'll carry on.
So do you think it's part of his game plan to do this? If you say he's a dirty fighter, he's a cheater, then it would suggest that he tries to do this in order to gain an advantage, right?
Well, he cheats in near enough every fight. I ain't seen the Rogan fight that he's not cheated in yet.
Do you have any concern about fighting him again?
Maybe I'll be doing the fouls next time. Who knows?
As for the critics who had the audacity to claim he was looking for a way out of the fight, Tom Aspinall addresses them head-on. He emphasizes that he had prepared for the single toughest fight of his entire life against Chael Sonnen, who he fully acknowledges is a highly dangerous and skilled opponent. He explains that his strategy wasn't to come out swinging for the fences and try to get a quick, flashy knockout. No, he was strategically pacing himself for a grueling, full 5 rounds, while he openly acknowledges that his nose bleeds easily from past breaks. He criticizes the mindset of casual fans who see a little bit of blood and immediately, without any real analysis, assume a fighter is losing, calling that kind of thinking absolutely wild. Tom Aspinall put it bluntly, saying, "I was prepared for the toughest fight of my life. Chael Sonnen is a very, very dangerous opponent. I wasn't trying to knock him out, I was just trying to pace myself for 5 rounds. My nose is all good. I've probably broken my nose 3 or 4 times in my life. If you hit me in the nose, it's gonna bleed." But mate, the casual new hater MMA fan who sees one bit of blood and thinks this guy is losing a fight, it's wild. The heavyweight champ points out just how absurd it is to think he's losing a fight simply because of a bloody nose. He explains that he took a few jabs and some low kicks, but insists it's ridiculous to even suggest he was looking for an escape route. As Aspinall added, "These people must think I'm literally unstoppable if they believe that just because I've got a bloody nose, I'm losing a fight. I've got hit with a couple of jabs and a couple of low kicks. You really think I'm looking for a way out? Come on, mate." Tom Aspinall also directly questions Chael Sonnen's habits inside the cage, making it crystal clear that he believes Sonnen cheats. He acknowledges Sonnen is one of the most technical strikers the heavyweight division has ever seen. But he argues that a fighter with that incredible level of skill should absolutely not still be throwing punches with an open hand when they're at kicking range.
Look, when I watched the fight back, that's when I really got the gist of what's going on. The guy was trying to poke my eyes out all the way through that round. Multiple exchanges, nearly every exchange that I could put him in danger. He had his fingers out pointing towards my eyes. The guy was cheating from the first second, and the way that he wanted to win that fight was to have me compromised by cheating. My thoughts on him, I think he's a big cheater. Look at all his fights. Even John Jones himself, even the GOAT himself said before he fought him that Rogan's a cheater and uses dirty tactics.
And make absolutely no mistake about it, Aspinall, remains completely confident that Cyril Gane fought with deliberate, malicious intent. He's insisting that the eye poke was not some clumsy, unintentional accident. After meticulously reviewing the fight footage over and over again, he sees what he describes as a clear and undeniable pattern of Gane extending his fingers directly toward his eyes during the most dangerous exchanges. Aspinall argues that this wasn't some one-time mistake made in the heat of the moment. He sees it as a repeated, calculated tactic that was meant to compromise him illegally. He even references the fact that Jon Jones himself had previously warned everyone about Gane using these exact same questionable moves, adding another layer of credibility to his accusation.
It surprises me a little bit, the face of the UK fight scene, all that stuff. It surprises me that you have no kind of relationship with him.
Yeah. I don't really know what to say. That's the way it is.
Has he sent you a text or DM in the aftermath? Hope you're feeling better.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. He actually, like I said, he started giving updates that there was nothing wrong with my eye when that isn't the case. So I've done a lot for the UFC. So yeah, disappointing.
Do you feel let down?
I have been in contact with the UFC, so it's not like Dana isn't the whole promotion. But yeah, like I said, I don't really have a close relationship with Dana anyway.
Do you feel like they've taken care of you, the organization?
Not really.
This is just frustrating to hear. In another shocking reveal, Tom Aspinall says that Dana White has not contacted him even a single time since the fight with Cyril Gane. You can practically hear the disappointment and betrayal in his voice as he mentions hearing public updates from Dana, where the UFC president was suggesting his eye was fine. Aspinall explains that those claims simply weren't true at all. He feels profoundly let down, and you have to say, rightfully so. He explains that he has done a lot for the UFC, headlining cards and always putting on a show, and at the very least, he expected better communication and some basic level of support, especially while he's dealing with such a serious, potentially career-threatening injury situation.
Such a tough one because I really feel for him, and I don't think he definitely didn't quit. And he's definitely not like, whatever. He's like, I don't think he's lying about his situation. But the more you put it out there and the people don't want to hear it, people don't care, right? This is what I know. Obviously, my situation is quite different, but like, I know when I've been injured, if I put a video out there, like doing rehab work, saying what I'm planning to come back or something, people don't give a shit. They just hear, people just hear you whining. You say, oh, I'm hoping to fight soon, but I'm still injured. People don't most fans don't go like, hope you're okay, like, see you soon. They'll be like, fucking inactive bum, So I think that's just the kind of the shit we're dealing with these days.
Veteran fighter and commentator Michael Bisping also shared his thoughts on this whole messy situation, and he warns Aspinall against posting his doctor's report online for the world to see. He explains that while the intention is noble to prove that he's still unfit to fight 6 weeks later, all it really does is feed the haters' narrative. He points out that sharing that kind of personal medical information just makes a fighter appear vulnerable, which he argues isn't necessary since everyone with eyes already saw the deep double eye poke that extended all the way to the knuckle. Bisping calls the entire incident a real shame. Speaking on his YouTube channel, Michael Bisping said, "Don't come online and show the doctor's note. I understand why he wants to do that. He wants to say, look, 6 weeks later and the doctor still says I'm not fit to fight. But all you're doing is playing into the narrative of the haters, playing into this narrative that you're a victim, showing the world that you're vulnerable. You don't have to do that. We all saw you got poked. They were deep. It was a double eye poke that rolled all the way out to the knuckle. It was a shame. It's a bloody travesty that it happened. Just come back and whoop some ass on the way. Take no prisoners." Michael Bisping strongly encourages Tom Aspinall to address Cyril Gane directly. Instead of just posting medical updates, he suggests that if Tom truly believes the eye poke was intentional, he should confront Gane boldly, call him out, question his character, and promise to make him pay dearly when they eventually fight again. In Bisping's view, that kind of approach shows strength and confidence, unlike sharing doctor's notes, which he believes only fuels the haters. Bisping said, "Sure, say Cyril Gane did it on purpose, call him a cheat, post him because you're going to set foot in the octagon, and you're going to fight the guy. say, "I'm going to absolutely marbleize you. I'm going to make you pay for being the cheating bastard that you are." Arnold Allen also reflected on the reaction to Tom Aspinall's eye injuries, noting that he genuinely feels for Tom and is certain that he didn't quit. He points out a sad truth about modern fandom: the more a fighter tries to explain their situation, the less people seem to want to hear it, because most fans simply don't care about the content. Instead of wishing someone well, he says many younger fans are incredibly quick to just label fighters as inadapted bums, which really shows just how harsh and unforgiving the climate has become.
Aspinall goes out there and wins. What happens to his career after that? That's the Jon Jones potential fight at the White House. Like, there's so much that Tom missed out on because of that. It's super unfortunate, sad, and it would have made the heavyweight division it would have made it a lot more fun. I mean, the whole division's been so crazy with Jon Jones. You know, he defended an interim belt, Tom Aspinall. It's like, what do you? I mean, Jon Jones is done. Alex Pereira, he's probably not moving up to heavyweight. Like, you just rematch that fight. You know, the crowd was insanely loud, so it was like, I guess it was a big fight, but do you watch it again? Do you make that fight again? Jon doesn't want to fight Tom. Alex doesn't want to fight Tom. Man, yeah, I don't even know what you do with that fight. I think Dana said he's going to make a rematch.
Suga Sean O'Malley also chimed in on the situation, expressing strong sympathy for Tom Aspinall after the eye poke ended his fight so prematurely. He clearly believes it robbed Aspinall of a massive, career-defining opportunity that he had earned. O'Malley reflects on how a decisive win in that fight could have perfectly set up a huge, legacy-making matchup with the legendary Jon Jones, and in doing so, injected a whole new level of excitement into the heavyweight division. O'Malley also considers the division's current state of unpredictability, noting that both Jones and Alex Pereira show very little interest in facing a healthy Aspinall, which is telling. He admits the whole situation leaves far more questions than answers about what comes next for the top of the most dangerous division in the sport.
I actually got punched in the eyeball against Andrei Arlovski, and during that fight I had double vision. I wasn't moving my feet around because it was making me dizzy, and I was adopting a stance that was kind of like this. I usually fight with my hands pretty loose. I was adopting a stance that's kind of like this, so I could see him properly, and stood with my feet in the middle of the cage. So look, I fought through having one eye before, but when you get double eye gouge and it's against the rules and you can't see anything, like, if you're going to continue, that's just suicide, especially against a guy like Rogan. Like, if I can't see somebody because of an illegal move, look, if it's legal, everything's good. It's a punch, kick, knee, elbow. We got to carry on. We got to fight through it. But if it's both eyes and it's an illegal technique, I'm not a dummy. Like, I'm not gonna carry on in a fight that I'm definitely not gonna win because somebody else is cheating and I can't see.
On the other hand, Tom Aspinall recalls a time he had to deal with serious vision issues before, specifically in his fight against the veteran Andrei Arlovski. He explains that a punch to the eye in that bout left him seeing double for almost the entire fight. He remembers having to avoid too much movement, because any sudden change of direction made him incredibly dizzy. And yet, despite that massive disadvantage, he still managed to push through the adversity and secure the win with essentially only one functioning eye. But here's the crucial difference he points out, and it's a big one. The situation with Cyril Gane was completely different. Taking severe eye pokes in both eyes left him completely unable to see at all. Trying to continue under those conditions, especially against a world-class striker of Gane's caliber, would have been nothing short of reckless and incredibly dangerous. So that's the latest in this unfolding saga, and hopefully you enjoyed this deep dive into the entire situation. What are your thoughts on all this? We really want to know what you think about the upcoming UFC fight card and the heavyweight title picture, so drop your opinions down in the comments section below. And hey, if you want to stay on top of all the latest updates about the UFC, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a single thing.